Hello there. This is a mystery, drama and a sci-fi film. Spoilers alert. 7-year-old Chloe Lewis has been living her entire life, hiding in an abandoned house in a small town, with her father, Henry. She is restricted to go outside by her father, because she would be found by bad guys. Despite being in isolation for all these years, Chloe grows up to be a capable child. Henry, every day drills the escape routine to her, if something happens to him, while he's not in house. Henry is on good terms with their neighbors, Stephen Reed. Stephen Reeds will take care of his daughter, and will be paid as long as they take care of her, and she also has a fake name, Eleanor. Chloe memorizes the neighbors' names and information, along with some details about them, ensuring that she is just like any other 7-year-old girl. At night, Chloe hears a sound coming from the closet. She opens it and sees a woman tied up in chains, then Chloe runs away. Even if she can see, Henry tells to Chloe that ghosts aren't real and that is her imagination. Chloe's dad stays with her, but refuses to sleep, telling her that he can only protect her if he's awake. The next morning, Chloe wakes up from sleep and finds a book of Mr. Snow Clone. She looks out the window and sees the neighbor Reed's daughter, Harper, buying an ice cream. Chloe also wanted to have ice cream, so Chloe thinks in her mind to get an ice cream. Harper comes to their door, bringing her a chocolate ice cream. Chloe opens the door. When she's about to take the ice cream from Harper, her father Henry stops her and asks Harper what is she doing here. Harper says she bought Chloe an ice cream. Then Henry asks, how does she know the Chloe's name? At the same time Harper mother, Nancy, sees Chloe for first time. Henry then asks Chloe how they know her real name, and if she's been going outside. Chloe says no, but he doesn't believe, so he locks her in the closet as a punishment. In her closet, Chloe sees Harper and asks to be her mother, and this is not fair that she has a mother, and Chloe don't. The next morning, as an apology, Henry agrees to buy Chloe an ice cream bucket, but things don't go as planned. Henry returns much earlier, with a wound on the side of his stomach. He tells her that the plan has changed. They have to hide now for longer time. Before he can say anything else, Henry falls down on the kitchen floor. Then a force field erupts from the house, and is sucked back into his body. It turns out that Henry has been using a time bubble around their house, slowing the time in the outside world, while keeping the normal pace inside their bubble. Even though Chloe is 7 years old, from the time of her birth, it's only been 3 months in the outside world. They've been in the time bubble for 7 years. Using this as a chance, Chloe takes a $100 bill, and goes outside the house for the first time in her life. She goes straight to Mr. Snowcone's ice cream truck, and meets Alan. Alan gives her an ice cream, and she goes with Alan in the truck. She also sees a billboard about abnormal people, whose eyes bleed. She tells Alan that her father's eyes bleed too. Alan takes Chloe to the park and she plays there on the swings, and she says she wanted to touch the outside of the universe. He talks to Chloe, asking her if she's done anything special, or has anything weird ever happened when she's angry. He then tells Chloe about her mom, who was a very famous person with special abilities. As he tries to explain about the adventures with her mother, a police officer interrupts them. The officer suspects Alan, and asks him to step away from the girl. Alan tells him that she's his granddaughter. The officer then asks Alan to show his eyes. Alan turns to Chloe, and tells him that the officer is one of the bad guys who killed her mother. Chloe becomes upset, and starts screaming at the man to go away.
Go away, go away, go away, go away!
Surprisingly, the officer puts down his gun, as if he is in trance, and then walks away. As they drive home, Alan shows her a picture of her mother, and lets her to borrow it for only some time. It turns out that Alan is her grandfather. He gives Chloe some sleeping pills, and tells her that the next time she hears his truck, she should put it on her dad's food. When Henry wakes up, Chloe accuses him of lying to her, and not telling her that she's special, and then yells at him to get out of her room. Later that night, Chloe wakes up to the sounds coming from her closet again. She opens it and sees a woman, but this time, she recognizes her to be the one in the picture, her mother. The woman lashes out at her, thinking that she's a cruel hallucination, and Chloe runs off. She goes to her father, and sees him asleep in front of the television. She knows more about abnormal people, called freaks on TV. Freaks are who look just like humans, but have special powers, and blood bleeds out from their eyes. They are being hunted down by the government. Later that night, Chloe sees the woman for the third time, and manages to convince her that she's real. Her mother recognizes Chloe, and asks her how she got near her. Chloe tells her that she's in her closet. Feeling confused, her mother realizes that Chloe is communicating with her through her mind from her house. Next, Chloe tells Henry about her mother, but he doesn't believe her. Seeing no other way to escape, she tries to drug her father, but he finds out and stops Chloe opening the door. She repeats saying to go to sleep, to drip from her eyes. She meets with Alan in his truck, and he tells her about his plan to meet her mother. There's no use for people like them to hide anymore. They meets with one of the government agents, called Agent Ray. Alan introduces him as a priest who raised Chloe, and asks Agent Ray to take them to Magic Mountain, a place where they relocated the freaks. Agent Ray sees Chloe's eyes and finds out she is a freak. Chloe runs away. To save Chloe, Alan blinds one of the dishwashers. The agents shoot the dishwasher, thinking that he's an abnormal. Alan, with his super ability, turns invisible with Chloe. Back in their truck, Chloe finds out that her mother is still alive, and Alan tries to go to the mountain, where her mother is being held captive, but Chloe gets into Alan's head, and makes him to go towards her home. On their way home, Henry appears in the middle of the road. Chloe gets out and she is almost hit by a car, but Henry, with his powers, forms a time bubble to save her. Henry takes Chloe to the Stephen house, as per their deal to look after Chloe. Nancy soon realizes that Chloe is a freak, and backs out of the deal, saying that she didn't know they were supposed to look after an abnormal girl. Henry is shocked to see her eyes bleeding, and realizing that she's an abnormal, like him and her mother. Henry locks her in the closet. She meets her mother again, but she's taken away by bad people. As Henry locks Chloe in the closet, she screams at her father and tells him that they have to save her mother. She becomes too upset for refusing to open the doors, and she almost kills her father, with a drill into his head, by her special ability to get into his head. When Alan and Henry argues downstairs, Chloe peeks into the window and sees that Nancy has already reported to police. Chloe, with her special powers, projects the hologram of Nancy and police officer talking outside. Alan and Henry were shocked with Chloe's powers. Chloe controls the mind of police officer. He then stabs Nancy in her eye, and then he shoots himself. Chloe goes to her room. Again she talks with her mother Mary, who is tied up. Then Henry and Alan also sees Mary alive. When a doctor tries to kill her, Chloe gets into his head, and makes the doctor to kill himself. She then takes control of the police officer, and frees her mother. Suddenly, somebody outside the door ringing the doorbell. Henry freezes the time to see who is outside. It turns out that Agent Ray is behind the door. He lets her in. He pretends as a real estate developer, and at the same time, Chloe tries to help Mary escape. Agent Ray interrogates Henry. She knows Henry is abnormal. She threatens him that she can fire a missile on the house if he doesn't follow her instructions. Invisibly, Alan sneaks behind her with a gun to her head. Agent Ray spots the gun and takes the gun, and fires it at Henry. He then activates time bubble around him, but he is too drained. Then the bullet pierces through his stomach. Agent Ray finds Chloe in the bedroom, and fires the gun at her. But Alan is invisibly protecting Chloe. The bullet hits Alan. This upsets Chloe, and she makes Agent Ray to aim her gun at head, and kills herself. Chloe runs to her father and falls down, exhausted from using her powers. Meanwhile, Mary is now trapped before the final exit. She calls to Chloe to wake her up. Chloe gets up, and screams with her powers and controls the minds of everyone near her mom. Mary runs outside, and flies in the air. A hellfire is now reaching the house, and Henry uses his powers one last time, trying to slow down the missile. He takes Chloe outside of the house, when the house is about to blown up by the missile. When Chloe wakes up,
Come back, come back, come back.
Henry tells her how much he loves her and says, goodbye. Police fires at her, while she is crying over her father's dead body. Then she is rescued by her mother, Chloe, and Mary sees for the first time, and Mary promises her to protect forever. Chloe tells her that she don't want to hide anymore, and she want to live wherever they want. Mary agrees with her, and wraps her in her arms, and they take a flight, like Iron Man. The movie ends when Chloe and Mary traveling in the air, with a serious look on Chloe's face. This movie is called Freaks. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing. See you soon again.